It's on now. Okay. Sorry. Okay. It's 4:00. We will begin our meeting. Call the meeting to order. We'll start with our pledge and we'll let Trustee Kangas lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to first off welcome everyone that's here this evening. It's glad to see you here. We'll go ahead. Can you hear me if I just talk like this? I don't have to have it any closer. Okay, just wanted to be sure. Okay, we're going to, next on our agenda is approval of flexible agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve a flexible agenda.
Okay. Approved by, motion made by Trustee Kangas, seconded by Trustee Lehman. Is there any public comment about our agenda? Okay, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Next, we'll move on to our consent items. Does anyone want anything pulled from our consent? Okay. Seeing none. Someone like to make a recommendation?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent items.
Okay. Someone like, okay, motion made by Trustee Jackson, second by Trustee Kangas. Is there any discussion about our flexible agenda? Consent, sorry, our consent. Seeing none, we'll take the vote. I'm at public comment, sorry. Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay. Oh, is Doug, oh, here you are. Hey, did you vote? Okay.
Sure.
Thanks, Doug. Perfect. All right, next we're going to do special introductions and special recognition, and Superintendent Lewis.
Good evening. I'd like to first acknowledge tonight we have Leadership Douglas County. I'd like all of them to stand up and we'd like to acknowledge you and welcome you on Education Day. So I was telling Mr. Bedrosian, I'm not sure if your class has been good or bad, and this was a punishment to have to come to the board meeting, but welcome. They have been touring all day. Education. They spent time here in Douglas at GES, CVMS, and Douglas High School. They've also been up to Sierra Lutheran and a variety of other locations today. So they've had a busy day and will be with us here for about an hour tonight. So
Great.
I've got a couple recognitions. Last week, Nevada Lieutenant Governor Lisa Cano Burkhardt announced the launch of Battleborn Education Heroes, which is a new program aimed at acknowledging teachers and educators throughout the state who display what it means to be an educator, excels in the classroom or school, and or has demonstrated a noteworthy ability to bring the best out of their students. I am thrilled tonight to acknowledge that the first recipient of this state award is Minden Elementary School first grade teacher, Lisa Wilson. The Lieutenant Governor and Nevada Superintendent of Public Instruction, Joan Ebert, were at MES yesterday morning to honor Miss Wilson, and she was not able to join us tonight, but I want to congratulate her for that honor. Miss Jose, I know you're not going to be happy when I ask you to come up to the front real quick. Right in the front, just so they can see you. Yes. So tonight I also want to acknowledge Douglas High School ceramics teacher Kelly Yost. Last week, Miss Yost and Douglas High School art teacher Zoe Shorten took 70 students to view the artwork of Douglas High School students that was on display at the Shepherd Gallery in Reno. That evening, Kelly was recognized at the Regional Scholastic Awards Ceremony as the Regional Educator of the Year. Kelly is an amazing teacher who has instilled a love of ceramics in thousands of Douglas High School students, including my own daughter. Kelly, we are very appreciative of all you do, and congratulations.
Yeah, remember she was here yesterday.
Thanks, Kelly.
Woo. Yeah, congratulations.
And finally, I just want to acknowledge Douglas County Athletics. It has been a banner year for the winter sports teams in Douglas County. The Douglas High School wrestling program has advanced 11 wrestlers to the state wrestling meet, which will be held this Friday and Saturday in Las Vegas, which from the time that I've been here is by far the most wrestlers that we have sent. So congratulations to them. The Douglas High School boys basketball team finished as the number 3 seed in the Northern 5A conference. Last night, they defeated McQueen High School in the first round of the Northern 5A regional tournament here at Douglas High School. They will advance to the semifinal round on Wednesday and will travel to Bishop Manogue High School. The winner of that game will play for the Northern 5A region championship and will advance to the state tournament next week at Lawler Event Center in Reno. And Trustee Lehman has a son on that team, so I know it's extra exciting for him. The Douglas High School girls basketball team also finished number 3 in the Northern 5A conference, and the gentleman to my right has a daughter on that team. They will tip off tonight at 6:30 here at Douglas High School versus Galena High School. The winner of tonight's game will advance to the semifinal round on Thursday, which will be held at DeMonte Ranch High School. And then finally, the Wattell High School boys basketball team will be on the road tonight as the number 6 seed in the Nevada 1A North Division to play number 3 seed Virginia City. And the Warriors currently are 11-7 on the season. So I wanted to acknowledge all the hard effort of the coaches and athletes of those programs.
Awesome.
That is all I got.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have our Nevada Association of School Boards report, and that'll be given by our director, Heather Jackson.
Great. We had our first meeting of the year just the other day. It was over Zoom, so I kind of missed out on meeting everyone. But I just want to let you guys know the goals for this year. We really want to work on pushing for funding, and we really want to work on making sure we have a plan of where we're going to get that money and how much money is needed that we can start working with the legislature on. They encouraged us that this is the year to really go out and talk to the legislatures, have one-on-one meetings with them, and really start focusing on that. The other goal we have is to help strengthen board community relations and trust. And so we're going to be working on how we can work to do that in each of the districts in the state. The other, just one thing that I thought was interesting is they were talking through and they were, one of them was presenting on the State Board of Education. And I mentioned before that we are, when you look at academics, Nevada is ranked 18th. But I wanted to just share with you one more piece of information I found on that, that actually, we have actually jumped 20 positions in the last 5 years. So 5 years ago, we were 38 in the nation for our academics. And the State Board of Education made that a goal. And I think in our districts all worked hard on that, and that we've actually jumped 20 places in the last 5 years. Go ahead. Question. Whose ranking is that? So it's part of the, oh my goodness, what's the name of it? Well, Education Week does that. But it's, yeah, it's the Quality Counts. It's Quality Counts that does it. So overall, we are ranked 49th. But there's 3 sections to it. One of them is on how much, like, the money that is put towards education. And part of that is if it's equal throughout the state in how much each student throughout the state gets on education. So if different districts get more per student than other districts, that lowers our ranking. So that's part of it. And then another part of it is made up of what the economic situation of the students and their families. And so those are 2 of the things that really bring down Nevada's rankings. But if you look just at academics, they have different they score kids, different testing and things that they do different years. When you look just at that, we are ranked 18th.
Wow.
And so the goal for the next few years going to 2026 is to get to the top 10. That's what we're working on. But I just was really impressed when I saw that we've actually jumped 20 in the past 5 years. And that we're continuing to work on. That's the only thing we have control over, right? Is the academic portion. Doug.
This is 20th in the state. Oh, sorry.
20th in the nation.
20th in the nation. I mean,
nation.
and
Yeah.
then wasn't Douglas County itself our district?
Yes,
You'll
our
probably get to
district. Well, and I actually don't have information on that, but I will try, look for that. But yes, you're right. That Douglas County is one of the top in the state of Nevada. And so I just think that's neat, neat to see, and something we need to focus on, that we are doing well academically. And yes, there's things we need to work on and improve, but there's some great things that are happening. And so that the other part I want to mention is just, we get emails every month that are forwarded by Karen that are from NASB, and they're working really hard to try and get us information, right? And help us know what's going on. And I will tell you that I am not very good at reading them. And when I was looking through it the other day, they actually sent us one last July that talked exactly about this, about being 18th, what the goal is to get in the top 10. And I never read that one. So I just want to encourage, if when you get those, they're trying to send out monthly, here's the things going on. That one of the things NASB is trying to do is to help us know what legislations are coming up, what things are happening. And so I would just encourage you to read through those. We did ask if they could be put in a format that's a little bit more reader friendly instead of a really long, just, email. But just if you can look at those, there's a lot of good information in there. And I will try every month to help you know the important things that are in there. But that's kind of this month of NASB.
Thank you. Any more questions for Heather? Good job, Heather. That's very exciting to hear, because the academics is the one thing we can control.
Right.
And to be 18th in the country, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
Good job. Thanks. All right. Next, we're going to move on to our board reports. And I will start, I guess, over here. Rob, I'll give you a chance to, instead of starting with Heather. Anything to report?
Went to the National Digital Converging NCDC ACBCDY conference in North Carolina. It was good. I think I regularly get complaints about Modern Teacher, also known as Epic, in our school. Well, I can't say regularly, but I do get complaints. I get complaints, and mostly those complaints aren't understanding it, because it's a different way of doing things. And it certainly is. So that was a good conference for me to go to understand it. I can help explain it a little bit more. I think the district is going in the right direction with where they're going with this. It's a heck of a lot of work. It's to get this thing implemented with fidelity is going to take several years and a lot of time, but once they're there, I think it'll be a very good thing for our students.
Thank you. Trustee Kangas?
I attended the EOP Development Committee meeting, and I went to the Career Technical Education Committee meeting, and I did the Safety Task Force, where Jen Tyndall did a superb job of presenting Stop the Bleed is what she called it. And there's different ways to address wounds in case of some emergency in a school. Very well done.
Thank you. Trustee Engelker?
Yeah, I attended with Heather the grading committee meeting, and I think we're getting to the point where we're starting to get down to some nuts and bolts, but we got a ways to go still.
Nice. That's good to hear. Trustee Magnata?
I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Jackson?
Both things I did were kind of already talked about, grading committee and the training on Epic. Also was able to talk to a lot of teachers, and just the two things I wanted to bring up that I thought were interesting is just their desire and need to have the community supporting them in their teaching efforts, and how much that would help right now as it's a difficult time. And then also just the the struggle our students are having, that there's a lot of things going on. They're either missing for illness, or there's a lot of anxiety, depression, different things going on, and a lot more kids acting out because of that. And so just to be aware of the things that are going on, that our teachers are dealing with, that our students are dealing with, and how much the need for the community coming behind them and supporting them and helping them and all working together to get through this, I think was a big wish that they all had.
Thank you. Trustee, our trustee in Hawaii.
Oh, hi, Linda. Hi, everyone.
Chester.
Yeah, I didn't have anything this month. I do have Friday morning is the first meeting of Debt Management Commission, and it's just an organizational meeting that's required by law every February. So I'll be attending that by Zoom.
All right. Thank you, Ross. I have kind of the same thing. I did attend a spelling bee at Pawalu, and I'll talk about a little more about that in my good news. I also went on an instructional walk along with this modern teacher, but we call it EPIC. We go into the schools. We did it last semester. We visited every school. I didn't get into every school, but I know we were in every school and monitoring how this EPIC program's going. And I have to tell you, we went into Jacks Valley yesterday. Was it yesterday? Gosh, it's been a long time ago. Yesterday. And I was blown away. I have to tell you, truly, I was totally blown away how our teachers have just stepped up and just taken control. Our EPIC is, it's about giving voice and choice to our students. And it's like an individual learning plan for them. It is just, I don't know, I guess our public can come in if they'd like to and observe it and come into some classrooms. I think it's different than when we went to school, a lot different. But boy, the way that the kids could communicate to us was even in first grade, kindergarten, their vocabulary is unbelievable about this. All right, next is correspondence. Did anyone have any correspondence that they wanted to report on?
I think, and I don't know for a fact, but all the board members probably were contacted by Denise Baronio, and her concern was about the old mask policy. And then Emmy Kachak, I'm sorry if I destroyed the name, and she had concern on the new mask policies.
Okay, all right. All right. Next is on the agenda is our good news, and I get to do that. As I mentioned, I went to one of the spelling bees. It wasn't the final round, but we ended up with some amazing champions. And these all happen to be from Carson Valley Middle School. So 6th grade, we had runner-up, I believe it's Neve Ward, and our champion was Ellery Dedman. 7th grade, our runner-up was Ethan Willis, and our champion was Isabel Almeida. And then 8th grade, our runner-up was Austin Alexander, and our champion was Yaretzi Reyes. Did I say that right? Okay. And congratulations to them. They will move on in March 23rd. Is that what? March 23rd, they'll go down to Vegas and compete in the state spelling bee champion. So good luck to them. Also, let's see. Last week at the I also attended the NCDC. And last week at the 2022 National Conference on Digital Convergence, 2 Douglas County School Districts employees were honored for their incredible work within our DCSD EPIC Learning. You have to realize EPIC Learning is not just here, it's all over the country. It's in Colorado, it's in Pennsylvania, it's everywhere. And so this is quite an honor for these people. Let's see where I'm, okay, so Rami was one of our finalists, along with there's a former superintendent, Terry White. They deserve credit for having a vision several years ago to modernize and personalize instruction and learning in DCSD. The incredible time and energy that Rami has given to this work is commendable and will have a lasting and positive impact on DCSD in the years to come. And Rami, I just wanted to thank you and give you a round of applause. I saw her over there. I'm going to ask you to come forward, Alyssa. You come right up front, honey. Yeah. So this is Alyssa Park, one of our superstars. She's at Scarcelli Elementary, 4th grade teacher. Alyssa was selected as the 2022 Change Agent Teacher of the Year. Alyssa joined the accelerated group of teachers who began the initial work of Modern Teacher several years ago. Alyssa has been instrumental in developing epic learning and developing a model classroom for other district teachers to visit. Her classroom is incredibly learner-centered, where students truly have voice and choice in their learning. Well, I could go on and on about Alyssa and how deserving she is of this honor. I would rather like to show you a quick video that was created as part of the nomination process. Did you not know this was going to happen? Sorry. For this award. I would like to thank Dcsd Epic Instructional Coach Jill Howe, who helped create this video. We'll go ahead and show the video and stay right there. We are so honored and proud for your award and for just you being part of our district, Alyssa. You really are a rock star. Thank you very much.
They really are in charge of their own learning, which is what we want kids to do. Know where they are and know how they're going to get there. I'm really excited about it.
Thank you. Thank you, honey. And this is why we're ranked so high, because of people like her, teachers like her. All right. Okay, now we get down to the other stuff. That was the fun stuff. Oh, sorry, Scott. Or Phil. Next, we'll move on to item number 8, which is maintenance and project report. This is just information only.
I'd like to introduce Director of Facilities, Phil Demas. And Bill, are you coming up with him? You just moral support in the crowd. Okay. This is our facility supervisor, Bill Blumenthal, as well.
So I'd also like to say that Alyssa got a grant from Dolan Auto for $5,000. We're going to work on an outdoor classroom for her for this summer and for years to come. So I also have pretty much just a lot of good news. We talked about all the projects last time I spoke to you guys. I'll have an update in 2 months with all of those. But we installed a new waste oil burner unit at the vehicle maintenance facility. And it basically runs off all the used fuel from our white fleet and the bus fleet. So it's good for the environment and good for our check pocketbook. So we also received a grant from Southwest Gas. They got a grant to take care of our underground services. They relocate the meters and gas lines to make our property safer and take care of the responsibility of future inspections, maintenance, and repairs away from the school district. So we're going to be, they've already done Douglas High School, Zephyr, and CES, and Powaloo. And this summer, we're going to do CVMS and Minden at a cost savings of over $1.2 million in relocating gas pipes for us. So that's a great thing. And we're also going to move forward with the old Playhouse roof. We've got bids, and we're going to do that on our spring break, get that building looking up to how it should be looking. After we do the roof, we have an insurance claim on it. So we're going to be doing the inside on insurance work because it flooded pretty badly. So that's about all I have for you. If you have any questions?
Any questions? Oh, Rob?
How do the rearranged gas lines, how do they save that much money?
Basically, dig up all the old gas lines underneath sidewalks and relocate meters. So basically, they bring everything closer to the school. So we're in charge of a lot less underground lines, and they take care of all new lines for the school. So what they've done here is everything went to 1 meter in front of the main hall, the 100 building. And now we have meters at every building. So we don't have to shut off the whole school if we have an issue. So, and
Yeah.
It was very beneficial.
yeah. Or Powaloo last week, we had a line in back of the school that ran about 150 yards to the E-pod. And it was for the science labs, and they don't use the gas anymore. And so we eliminated that entire line going over there, and solenoid up in the system. And that unit went right past electrical panels and other things that if there was a leak, then could have a serious problem. So that unit's been cut off.
Thank you. Oh, I have one more question.
Mine's about the, excuse me, the waste oil burner. Is that something that we should have waste oil removed and do a contract with?
Exactly.
Okay, so
Yeah.
now we're
So
able
now
to,
we just burn
and
it
it
all.
saves money. right?
Yeah, and that's the main source of heat for the whole building. So,
Wow. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, next on our agenda is our superintendent report.
Not to be too repetitive. A lot of what I have, you guys have already talked about. So I want to start off, Douglas County School District would like to acknowledge the following donations. There's several this month. CC Manili Elementary received a donation of STEM supplies, which was valued at approximately $500 by the Elks Foundation. And they received another $500 through the Beacon Grant, which was used for the STEM Club Families F4T Night through Sierra Nevada's Nevada Journeys. Douglas High School received a $200 donation from Heidi Bowers for the welding program. And the Minden Rotary Club Foundation donated approximately $855 to the Culinary Arts Program for the purchase of a vacuum sealer and the bags that are required. Gardnerville Elementary School received a $1,000 donation from Linda Hardy for use in the school's library. And the Dcsd Inclusive Education Department received a Conveyed Cruiser Adaptive Stroller. It sounds fun. Valued at $1,500 from Christian and Catherine Funk. And they also received a Riften Prone Stander, which is valued at $2,500 from Tawny McCroskey Riften. So we appreciate all those and like to acknowledge any donation that we receive here at the district. Declaration of Emergency Directive 0552, with the exception of a 28-day outbreak designation at Douglas High School in Powwalu in late August. And when using district transportation, Douglas County School District students have not been required to wear masks in schools during the entire 2021-22 school year. Last Thursday, Governor Sisolak issued Emergency Directive 052, which ended the requirement that district staff and adult visitors wear masks while on DCSD property. Masks are still required for students and staff while using district transportation, as this unfortunately is a federal requirement and not a state requirement in the law or in the directives. Directive 052 will also suspend mandatory COVID-19 testing requirements for students leaving Douglas County for school-sponsored activities. That will go into effect on February 27th, obviously 2022. However, we are still required to provide testing for students and staff that request voluntary testing. So it's an opt-in program, not a required program. We will work closely with Carson City Health and Human Services to update our safe return to in-person instruction to include the following requirements that are still in place in Directive 052. The first one is a policy on whether and under what circumstances face coverings will be required for students and staff while in school buildings or on school campuses. And so we already have developed that policy in August that made masks for students highly recommended but not required. So there will be no changes in that, and we'll use the same wording for staff as well. As you can probably imagine, there was a very big collective sigh of relief last Thursday amongst our staff. However, I'm also cognizant that we represent all of our constituents, and just as I have received communication for people who don't like masks, I have received several forms of communication this week from people who are disappointed with our decision, and I respect that. A regular COVID-19 testing program for students. The other second requirement, is a regular COVID-19 testing program for students and staff or volunteers, including but not limited to coaches, leaders, and advisors. That's a little bit unique wording there that they're identifying coaches, leaders, and advisors. So we're getting more clarity on what exactly the intent of that language is. And we'll work again with Carson City Health and Human Services to iron that out. And then finally, a method for detecting school-wide outbreaks of COVID-19 and a plan for responding to and mitigating the outbreak. So there are still provisions in Directive 052 that should a school be identified as having a COVID outbreak, that we would be required to mask. Currently, working with the Carson City Health and Human Services, that's a 10%. If 10% of total students and staff in a building were to have an active case of COVID at the same time, they would designate that as an outbreak. Right now, we have 10 active cases district-wide. We have not even been close to 10% at any point during this whole pandemic. So while that language is in there, I don't anticipate that we would have an outbreak, but I can never sit here and guarantee that. Rob?
So just to verify, masks, if they were to come back, that'll be a decision of the health department.
It would be a decision of the health. Yep.
Okay.
The health department would designate an outbreak, and then we'd be required through the directive. So,
Thank you.
and just kind of on the 21st of January, we had our high point of 204 active cases. And right now, as I said, this morning, we have 10. So we have seen obviously a significant dive in those numbers, which is great. And, I go back to March of 2020 and when we first hit this pandemic, and the thought that maybe 1 or 2 cases might close us down, and to think that we had 204 active cases, and at no point was there panic. It has been very well managed. Our families have done what they need to do. And I am extremely proud to be the superintendent of a school district that has had kids in in-person learning for a very long time. And I'm proud to work for you that have given me the ability to make changes as I need to make them fluidly, and not get caught up in having to come back to the board. So again, there's a lot of people who I'm very thankful for for this time. And obviously, the fact that masks are no longer required does not mean that we don't still have to contact trace. And so we're getting closer to that point, but that is still on the table in those cases. On February 3rd, I presented to the Nevada State Interim Finance Subcommittee, along with Clark County, Washoe County, and 4 other rural school districts. The purpose of the presentation was to provide information about how DCSD has already spent ESSER 1, ESSER 2, and ESSER 3 funds, and then what additional fund future plans we have for that money. Again, I want to acknowledge Brian Fraser for his outstanding work in managing those grants for the district. And the feedback from the subcommittee was very positive. So they tend to listen a little closer for the larger urban districts, but they had a few questions for us rurals. But it was a nice experience. Rob, Linda, and Heather, I want to thank you for taking your time to join us at NCDC 22. A group of 40 teachers, trainers, administrators, and obviously school board members attended the Modern Teacher Conference in Charlotte, North Carolina. As part of the conference, our staff was able to observe students and teachers from Gaston County Public Schools just outside of Charlotte and Rock Hills School District located nearby in South Carolina as the work towards modernizing and personal instruction moves forward here in DCSD. I will tell you, it was a great conference and certainly validated the great work our teachers and administrators are doing in personalizing learning for DCSD students. So as Linda talked, we got to visit Jacks Valley yesterday, and it was an amazing, absolutely amazing visit there. On a related note, I just want you to know I was asked and accepted an opportunity to serve on the Modern Teachers National Council. So I'm excited about the opportunity to join 14 other current and former superintendents from school districts across the United States as a member of the council, and obviously to have the opportunity to provide input at the national level as we move forward in our epic journey. We talked about the instructional walks at Jacks Valley. I just want to commend not only the teachers, obviously, but the amazing leadership of Jacks Valley Principal Pam Gilmartin and Assistant Principal Crespin Esquivel. DCSD enrollment counts through February reporting reflect an enrollment of 5,498 students, which is actually up 63 from our January reporting and only 26 down from where we were in January of 2021. So numbers have been interesting throughout the year. They fluctuate back and forth quite a bit. Since our January board meeting, we held communication meetings. We've been active and busy with the staff of Carson Valley Middle School. And then we've been at Jacks Valley, Pinion Hills, and Minden Elementary Schools as well. We also met with departmental staff at the district's airport training center. And so those meetings are just designed to provide opportunity for staff. We don't go with any agenda. If there's any rumors or anything out there that we can dispel, those are always good, but it's just really open dialogue, and we really enjoy the opportunity to be with our staff. Yesterday, district administrators, staff, and our school resource officers were trained on the use of the open gate weapon detection system at the Airport Training Center. We were joined in the training by representatives of Pool Pact, which funded 75% of that project. We provided a demonstration of the system this morning at Douglas High School for staff and a couple visitors. Trustee Lehman just happened to wander on scene and got to go through the weapon detection system. And fortunately, what?
I was clean.
You were clean, flying colors. So one downfall that they didn't tell us in the lead up to it that a lot of us are disappointed is that a Chromebook will set the system off because of the metal on the hinge. It gives a perception of a straight edge. And so that will add another dimension to it where the kids they'll have to take them out of their bags, just kind of like if you go into the sheriff's office and have to take stuff out of your pocket, but it will not hit on. I had 2 phones, a money clip that's metal, my keys, and it will not hit. It doesn't trigger on that. It's really looking for weapons of mass casualty, and we can adjust the sensitivity of it. And so I think we've got it dialed in, and we will activate it. We're going to do a little bit more communication with our community and with the students. And then we will start using it. So they're very portable. We got 2 systems. They weigh no more than 25 pounds. They're very portable. The batteries last about 10.5 hours. So very nice systems. So Retirement, we have added a third retirement from within my executive staff at the district office. You're going to start wondering if they're all jumping off my ship. Executive Director of Education Services, Rami Cronin, has announced she will retire from Douglas County School District effective June 30th, 2022. Rami is a graduate of George Patel High School and has spent, I believe, 29 of her 30 years as an educator in Douglas County School District. She, for whatever reason, spent 1 year in Washoe County, then smartened up. Also, Carson Valley Middle School Principal Nancy White has also announced that she will retire at the end of the 2021-22 school year as well. Nancy has spent 31 years in education, and all but 2 of them have been spent here also in Douglas County. So some very long-term Douglas County employees, fantastic employees, will be leaving us at the end of the year for fun things. And then just last, Niche is a data analyzing website focused on schools. They issued its annual report of the best schools in the school districts in Nevada, and Douglas County School District is ranked as 2022's top school district in the state. Dcsd received an overall score of an A-. Niche's rankings are based on the Department of Education data, student and parent surveys, test scores, and then there's several other smaller categories. For anyone interested in how district rankings are calculated, they can visit niche.com, and it explains that. And that's spelled NICHE.com. So that's a nice honor. Moved up from number 2 last year. So that's all I have. Questions?
Any questions? That was a great report. Good. All right. Thank you, Superintendent Lewis. And leadership is leaving. They've had enough.
Did I drive you out?
Thank you. All righty. We'll move on to agenda item number 10, which is the approval of engineering for Douglas High School rooftop unit replacement. And Scott and Phil, you're up. Thank you for being here.
Design contract for Hvac design services for high school. It was 100, 200, 400. The 110 value is based on estimated work. The estimated work is approximately $1.75 million. Again.
Oh, Scott, your mic's off, I think.
Again, the recap, the 110 fee is for design work of $1,750,000 of work. Again, that work is, we don't have, budget for 1.7, but we will, and we want to get it all designed at once. We'll prioritize what are the greatest needs for those 3 buildings, and we'll execute that work, what a budget allows, when we can. Right now, to bring a design contract in February is not likely that the work will be executed in June. Procurement times, are 3 to 4 months easily, let alone the design time and bid time will add another 3 months to that. So this work will be executed, kind of over the next year when we can fit in, but probably more than likely this summer after following to complete the work. CR Engineering has been with the district for quite a while. They were the mechanical designers for this STEM building, and they've done all the retros in all the schools over the last 11 years. They bring great value to the district because they also prepare their bid documents that doesn't require us to also need an architect to supplement their drawings for instructions for the work. Because the HVAC work, there's more than just the ducts and the units. I mean, there's removing ceilings, walls to access these systems that they add enough detail to their plans to facilitate that work in bidding and execution. So we kind of look at percentages of design contracts. Standard percentages for architects' fees are approximately 15% of the work. This one right here is approximately 6.5% of the value of the work for design. So it's a really good value that they're bringing for this work. So with that, I could take any questions.
Trustee Lehman?
I don't understand the whole process of just bidding the engineering amount just off the total amount of the work. And this comes up like last year or something, we had carpeting replaced and we bid and we spent a bunch of money on engineering for carpeting. And I didn't understand that. Can we just roll out carpet? As I look at this one looks a little more in depth. They got to make sure that the ceiling, the roofs can hold these heavier units. So why is that the process? Why don't they bid it actually on the work they're going to do and not just a percentage of the
Well,
project?
Well, number one, we don't have those actual costs until we bid the work, number one. But let me back up a second, because the NRS requires us, to hire the most qualified designer for the work. We can't bid, design work. We can't go out and solicit bids for design work. NRS prohibits that. Okay. The second thing is on, such as a carpet, we have an architect that prepared bid documents for us. It wasn't a design of where to put carpet, but it was a document that we could put out to a publicly bid, a sealed bid. So we have a bid standard. That was a document that we create, just like we'll create again later. So that's the only way they can traditionally base their fees on what the work is going to be. And that's, they do the estimate and more than time. A lot of times their fees, if the work comes in higher, they don't come back and ask for more fee based on a higher bid.
So do we only have one? So NRS requires that we choose the most qualified,
Yes.
and we've determined that this place is the most qualified and we can't use anybody else?
No, not this place, this design firm, Sierra Engineering.
Okay, so
Sierra-
then how does anybody else get that work? They never can?
Well, because Sierra Engineering has done portions of this school already and has the institutional knowledge of this systems, that have been, originally constructed in the 80s and added on since. So they already have that knowledge and the plans and the history of the facility. So they understand what the needs are already. So somebody say that another firm was interested in the work doesn't have that institutional knowledge and would be charging us for that, to go understand, to go recreate the drawings. That's why we feel CNR with their experience in here is the best and brings the best value.
But would another firm wanting to get future work maybe say, hey, we might go do those drawings on our own time so that we'll be more competitive in the future?
Yes. Again, this is kind of, the mechanical genre is kind of specialized. So last year we held the RFQ and we selected an architect for the next 3 years. We opened that up to anybody who's interested in that. We typically don't offer that RFQ for a mechanical design service or structural design service or even electrical. Those are usually, attached with an architect. But this is, a continuation, a project that we've been working on, in the district for the last 7-8 years about going in and rehabbing HVAC systems, throughout the campuses. So it would make sense to go RFQ a mechanical engineer for design services, because right now we have the most, and nobody's complaining to me about, not.
Are they, is the engineering firm, are they required to report anything like how many hours did you actually spend on this?
No.
Could we do that? Could we put that in our?
That is I've never heard that request. And again, it's their risk. Again, if they're basing their fee on a estimate, if the estimate comes in higher, they don't go get more fee for that cost that was based on that
But
estimate.
what if they're always above?
It's
How
not,
do we
it's-
know that?
because it's proven out by the bid. So when we get a bid, it says, yes, you are right on, really wrong, or really under. But again, they don't base their fee on that. And that's
Wait,
traditionally.
explain that again. What do you mean? You're right on? Really?
So they're, for example, they're asking 110 for $1.7 million worth, which is 6.2% design fee.
Right.
If this actual comes in at 2.7, they don't say, hey, our fee then should be based on 2.7,
But
which
that
is
doesn't change the amount of work they're doing.
No,
That
but
just is
that's-
how much the stuff costs. So
but
like if
that's
materials go up.
traditionally, that is, without exception, how estimates for design services are. They don't, we could ask for an hourly rate. But the hourly rate is going to be, $400 or $500 an hour. And it is never, you have design firms that won't offer a design contract based on an hourly rate.
Mr. You're at Heavenly, right?
No, Yeah.
Is that how it worked up there too?
We didn't have anything like a full HVAC systems.
But when you had engineering, was it just based off, was it just a percentage of the total project cost or was it?
Usually, yeah.
Okay.
But what I will say about CR Engineering, I can call them anytime. They don't charge me. They'll come out, walk a school with me and help me. I'm newer here. And there's the owner and a couple of their associates are incredibly knowledgeable with every school we have there, because they've taken care of every school. And that's why I see no reason to go anywhere else.
When was the last time we even asked somebody else to give us a bid?
well, not a bid.
Does even-
That violates
Okay,
NRS
sorry.
asking for it.
When was the last time we even asked somebody else to tell us what they would charge?
The law requires us to identify the most qualified firm.
And so how long have we used this one firm without asking any other firms?
This one firm has been doing since we did the STEM building at DHS. They've been doing the work, not only through a contract of the district, but also as a subcontract for the architects that we've solicited and utilized for other projects. So for example, the Carson Valley Middle School, we hire the architect. Okay. The architect then hires the sub consultants, which are the mechanical, structural, and electrical engineers. So they have done work through the architect's contract as a sub for our projects.
So I kind of kicking a dead horse at this point, but is it possible that they are so responsive and they come out here on a dime because we're a cash cow?
No, no, and I take that's an offensive question to their integrity. It really is.
No, I'm not saying it's to their integrity. It's just, hey,
is.
we make a lot of money off of this.
That is-
So we're going to be there.
That implication is not professional, and they're a professional company. You know, it's no different than, you know, in development, right? Do you ask your civil engineers to come work for you by the hour, or do they give you a proposal on a value of a project?
They give a
they base
proposal,
on a-
but it's not based off the total amount.
A value of the work.
No, it's never based off.
Well,
of
we're
that.
off topic.
I'm just saying, that's why I'm so confused, because I've never seen this before. In my,
You've never seen a design contract for services?
when we've gone to get an engineer firm,
Yeah.
they've always given us a fee based off the job, not how much it's going to cost us to build it.
But the job is the cost. I mean, well, again, the private and public are two separate worlds, you know, so if we'd like to spend a day with Phil and I to educate you on, you know, requirements that we have to take through not only the policies of the district, but through NRS, you know, and delivering, you know, quality projects on time with the most qualified, we'd love to have you and show you those, you know, the steps that are required. But I can sit here without a doubt and say this firm brings value and is the most qualified, you know, for this project because of their institutional knowledge, for all the work they've done for the district, you know, throughout.
Okay.
Yes. Just trustee Andrew.
Just for point of clarity, my father had a very successful structural engineering company, and the 6% seems high to me because they used to work for 1 or 2% of a project. And so maybe it's different for mechanical, I don't know. But getting back to what Rob was talking about, you say they're working at 6%, and let's say that's based on 1.7.
Correct.
And so if the actual work costs us 2 million, then their percentage is obviously lower and they can't raise that.
Correct.
But what happens if our bid comes in at 1 million? Do they give us a discount off the
We could
110?
ask for it.
Okay,
We could ask for it.
okay. And then the other question is the scope of work. Are we tearing out all duct work and everything and replacing everything, or
No,
just
not-
rooftop units?
It's not
or-
all ductwork, no.
Mainly rooftop units for high school.
Okay, I guess I work residential and I know everything's costing an arm and a leg these days, but 1.7 million for, I mean, how many units are we talking?
I think
here?
it's like over
40.
40.
49.
And then, yeah, it's an extensive amount of work.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Ross, do you have anything? No? Okay. All right. So this is for possible action. Someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion that the board award the bid for the mechanical engineering design work for the Douglas High School rooftop unit replacement project to CR Engineering in the amount of $110,000 as recommended by Director of Facilities Phil Demas and Project Manager Scott McCullough.
Okay, a motion made by Heather.
Second,
Okay, seconded by trustee Magnotti. He was a second ahead of you, Ross. Is there any public comment on this? Oh, okay, come on forward.
Hi, Julie Shepherd, resident of Minden. Resident of Minden. I was marketing director for a civil engineering firm for 30 years before I retired. Yay. 6% is now civil's a little different than that, but 6% is definitely what we would do our rough estimates on. So I just, the 1%, it's like, oh my gosh, was he poverty? I don't know. It seems so low.
Well,
But I just
these were
want to.
big projects.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out and the whole idea of qualifications based. We did have contracts where every year we would get new contracts with the same school districts over and over and not have to compete if we screwed up or if another firm, multiple firms objected and they wanted to get in and then they came forward to talk to the board and said, hey, can you open it up to us? And that's when we would then have to submit qualifications to try and win.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? If not, we'll bring it back to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
aye.
Anyone opposed?
Nay.
Okay, the motion passes 6-1. Thank you, gentlemen. Up, you're on. Don't go anywhere. Item 11 is you as well. And this is the approval, agenda item 11, approval of Jacks Valley Elementary HVAC project for a discussion or possible action. You have the floor.
Thank you. This is a continuation.
Yeah.
This was a continuation of a project from 3 years ago from Jack's that we were unable to finish due to budget. So budget became available and we're going back to complete the HVAC system. This was bid, designed by Sierra Engineering, who did the first half of the design, therefore the most qualified to complete the design. The bids came in good range. We had 4 bids and ACO Engineering System is the low bid. They had just finished the exact same project at Jacks Valley, so CC. So the benefit of them knowing the project has given a benefit, advantage in bidding, and they stayed low, and we recommend award that 636.
All right. Any questions from the board?
Any issues at CC so far?
Work was fine. Execution, there were some bumpy spots, but we've corrected that with them. They were a little lax in supervision, but they are going to make changes with their delivery and improve on this school. And they're also doing the workforce at the swim center, and they've really stepped up their supervision. They're a newer company. They took over an old company and they're kind of working their way into the market, but they are coming a lot lower than other, contractors, but their work is quality.
And I'm gonna have Monday morning progress meetings with them throughout the whole job, which I didn't have at CC.
And I would say, Rob, they were very responsive when issues came up.
Any other comments from the board? All right.
Ready to make a motion?
All right. Thank you.
So just for everyone, the recommendation indicates that you're awarding a bid, you would be awarding a contract.
I make a motion the board, award the contract, for the HVAC improvement project at Jacks Valley Elementary School to ACO Engineered Services in the amount of $636,000 as recommended by Director of Facilities Phil Demas and Project Manager Scott McCullough.
Okay,
A second.
okay, thank you. Trustee Engelkert. Is there any public comment on this? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you guys very much. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Scott. Okay. Okay. Item number 12 is we have Joe Girdner. We're going to present on staffing presentation, and this is for information only.
Thank you, President Gilkerson, members of the board. I think John is going to have a slideshow up there in 1 second. This presentation was a request of the board because of the challenges we know we have been facing with hiring over the last several years. The number of candidates we have received at all levels has decreased, not only in certified positions, but also classified positions. We run our primary hiring for certified positions through a cycle in the spring, starting. Thank you, sir. Starting actually in the winter months, we start with staffing projections. And historically, this process has started in January so that we're ready to start hiring in early March, which is the best time to begin hiring specifically for certified positions. It's a time when teachers and other certified professionals have the ability to either leave their contracts that they're currently in. And it's also when colleges are preparing to graduate their seniors to be prepared to apply for jobs. And so the student enrollment projections that we've done over the years go back many years. I think the formulas were first created by Holly Luna many years ago, passed down to Keith, and now have been passed down to me. They're very complicated formulas in very complicated spreadsheets. And so Keith shared that he's had to reteach himself every year. And now he's taught me 2 years in a row. So I'm starting to get the hang of it. And what I'll tell you is that the formulas have been very accurate over the years, even with the craziness of 2020, 21, when we lost so many students. Coming out of that for this year, our predictions were very close. And there are some schools that are a little off, but as a whole district, our projections have been very accurate. We look at historical data to begin in the projection of student enrollment. And we have that data back to 1978 and 79. We look at a 4-year average. For this year, we took out the 2021 school year because of the significant drop in enrollment. We did not want to impact, or that anomaly to impact our projections. We base our 4-year average on count day, which is October 1st. And then our current data in January when we're doing these projections. And for the high school, we add into that factor the dropout rate over the last several years to try and really capture exactly what our numbers will be. This year, like I said, we were really close and historically have been. I know some of our schools, we're within 4 or 5 students to date right now. And as a district, we're really close as well. We follow when projecting staffing, what's called the ELCO model. It doesn't follow exactly the numbers that the state has set for classes, but for kindergarten, that ratio is a 25-to-1 ratio. Grades 1 through 3 is 22-to-1, and grades 4 through 12 is 25-to-1. So when we identify, and we break it down by school and by grade level when we make staffing predictions. So we want to know exactly how many teachers we need at each school and at each grade level at that school. So that and administrators are involved with that determination of where we place the staff. Any questions on that? Rob?
Where do you, so 22-to-1 for a grade at a certain school. I mean, that's easier with bigger numbers, right? How high do you go? Like, when do you when do you drop down to 18-1 as opposed to being at 28-1? You know what I mean? Where is that a year by year kind of case by case thing?
Yeah, so we don't have a set number where this is where we make a move and add a teacher. That's a hard decision to make because a lot of times, we're looking at that where we really see a change, that's in August. And so to add a staff member at that time is challenging. We do monitor it throughout this spring. And we are in communication with principals and having conversations at cabinet level. So I really can't tell you exactly when that happens, but what we do is we watch every school closely as enrollment comes in for the next year. And the spreadsheets that we have are formulated so that when we get above these numbers, that those cells turn red so that we're able to identify them quickly and have those conversations. I don't know if Keith, you have anything
Yeah, I was
to add
just
to
going to
that?
add that quarterly, we have to submit a report to the state for any variance. So anytime that we would go over 25-1 in fourth grade, we have to submit at, let's say, Minden Elementary School, we're at 28-1. And they give you some variance there because, at 28-1, you go out and hire a new teacher at $75,000 and now you've got your ratio. So financially, you can't afford to just go out and hire a teacher to fix every red cell. And so they give us variance. You also get some variance as Zephyr gets this variance because of they're considered, a rural. And so we don't have the ability to share as easily with Zephyr in terms of classroom teacher because of travel. So there's no science to it. And sometimes, it just seems to kind of, somebody may have a big class one year and then it'll follow up with the law of averages. And so it is something we monitor, but we also often add staff, we at least attempt to add staff if numbers come in. The other thing I want to just note on that is kindergarten is a firm 25-1. And so if we had 2 allocations, let's say at Scarcelli, and we have 3 allocations at Manili, they're looped together, and all of a sudden Scarcelli's kindergarten enrollment goes to 55. We would take 5 of those last 5 who registered, and they would go over to Manili if they have less than 75.
Bust them over there.
And we would transport them for that kindergarten year, and then they're eligible to come back, which then kind of sets us up a little bit in first grade to, you're going from a 25 to a 22 to be over. And so it's a game it's not a game, it's something we have to watch. So we've got Scarcelli and Manili paired, we've got GES and Minden paired, and then Jacks Valley and Pinion are paired. And typically between the 2 schools, about 5 kindergartens. And this year we have 3 at Manili, so inevitably next year we'll have 3 at Scarcelli. It's just funny how it works in the valley, how it goes across. So.
And I will say Keith is being a little modest about no science related to it. The tracking and the staffing projections that he's created over the years is amazing, has been amazingly accurate. And the numbers that we come up with in January for next school year over the past number of years has been very accurate. So Keith has made it a science.
And one other point, just new, there's now a requirement of maintenance of what they call maintenance of equity for Title I schools. So we have to watch that. So we can't show a decline in staffing at a Title I school. And so often, if there's any benefit of the doubt to give, we're going to keep that staffing ratio.
For those keeping track at home, what's a Title I school?
Brian, you want to do the total definition of it? Yes, it's right. True. And it's at risk. So higher
Low
free,
income.
low income, free and reduced lunch qualification.
I just wanted to define title. And yeah, thanks.
And we have 2 Title I schools,
We have 3 right now. Yeah.
and those are.
Okay. Okay.
Got it.
I saw a video a while ago. It was a video of a human resource director and hiring. And it was a funny video, but everything we do around staffing is at this time of year is around hiring for for certified because it's a timeline of when we're able to hire teachers and school psychologists and really any certified position. This was not, the video I saw was not related specifically to education, but it showed a human resources director in 2010 declining a hire because they had not capitalized their name in their application. 2022, the human resources director was drinking alcohol and trying to track down a parole officer to get a phone number for a candidate. We're not there yet, thankfully, but but it is getting harder to hire. So we really want to be precise in what we do. This is our timeline for staffing for this spring. In January 20th of 2022, we send out what's called notice of early notification of retirement. The purpose of that is to ask our certified staff to notify us that they will be retiring at the end of the year. We do provide a $400 bonus that anyone meets the deadline for that, which is February 9th. We do that to try and get a jump on hiring and be able to actually roll out the majority of our positions all at one time. On January 26th, staffing allocations were provided to school administrators. Our ask of them as they review our enrollment numbers that we've given them and the allocations that we've projected that they will receive. They are, after early retirement comes in on February 9th, they have a little over 2 weeks to turn around and send what we call sites reported staff placement. And they're going to tell us based on the numbers that we've given them and the number of staff they have, where they will place their staff and where their openings will be. And then when that is done, all vacancies will be posted for internal transfer, and our process, our transfer process really is at one time during the school year for certified staff, and it is in early March. This year, it's from March 2nd to March 9th. So that allows any current certified employee to put in for any positions that's open for transfer within the school district. And when that's done, there is an abbreviated hiring process for those people because we know them, they've worked for us, and it allows people, say, maybe move to a school that's closer to their home. And then after that is open for 5 days, March 9th, that closes. March 10th, we'll post all of our vacancies to the world, and that's when our hiring madness will begin. And then from there, we'll work really hard to fill all of those positions as quickly as possible. This year, we're doing a number of things to try and fill our positions. First of all, is we are going to a number of job fairs around the country. And what we've tried to do is identify job fairs in areas where there is a high number of colleges that produce teachers, and also in states that have don't have as high of need for teaching staff as we have. And what the ones that we've identified for this school year, UNR is not really fall into that category, but a lot of staff that we do hire is from UNR and UNLV because they're local and they want to be here. More from UNR, to be honest. UNLV is a little bit of a harder sell or harder to compete unless it's a young person that wants to come back home and be in Northern Nevada, because Clark County hires thousands of teachers every year. What's that? Oh, March 24th and 25th, we're going to the Northern Colorado Education Days, which is in Greeley, Colorado. It's been a successful fair for us in the past. There's a number of colleges that are from the surrounding areas, not only in Greeley, but also in Denver, that candidates go to. I have on there that we are going to the Wyoming Education Career Fair. That was a really appealing fair because Wyoming's a place where their teacher need is really low. We've had to back out of that career fair because we could not get airplane tickets to get to that job fair because it's such a small town that we were a month out from the fair trying to get plane tickets, and they were at that time down to only a handful of tickets, and the cost was over $1,000. So we decided it wasn't worth the cost of the plane ticket to go to that fair. The next fair that we go to is March 29th, and we actually go to two fairs on the 28th and 29th. One is at Western Oregon University, which is a rather small college, but it's one that we've had success at. And it's one that has it's a smaller liberal arts schools, but has a huge number of teachers. And then the Oregon Education Fair is for all colleges in Oregon. Interestingly enough, Oregon produces a lot of teachers, and we've found that for people from Oregon, the cost of living here is actually lower. So it's appealing to some of those teachers to come to a place where they can make a wage that's similar to what they would make in Oregon and pay less for rent or to buy a home, if you can believe that. And then the last one that we're going to is the Minnesota Educators Fair, which we've not been to, but it's touted as the largest educator fair in the country. They say there's over 1,000 qualified candidates that will be at that fair. So we're really excited to be there and see if we can find some quality candidates. And then last but not least, something that we're going to do and have not done for several years is hold a job fair here locally. And really the focus of this will be for classified employees. We plan to hold it at the CVIC hall and kind of work in conjunction with our even our high school kids to try and recruit local talent to work in our specifically classified positions. The next thing that we do is advertise nationally. We use 3 different national advertisement agencies. The first is Applitrax, which is connected to the program or the software program that our applications are done through. That is a national organization. We get a free service by using Applitrax to advertise nationally. We also use EdJoin, which is a free advertisement service. And then we use Indeed, which is not a free service, but it's probably, if not the biggest, one of the biggest recruitment tools right now digitally. We set a cap of $500 on those because if the longer they're posted, the more they cost. So once we reach the $500 mark, if that's not been successful, we pull it off. And we really identify high need jobs when we put them on Indeed to try and be fiscally responsible. We do not put every job on there. We've also had a lot of success through local news agencies recruiting specifically classified employees, and we use the local papers. Facebook has been very successful. We use the local news agencies, not only in the Valley, but also at the lake as well. Our hiring process is something that we are very careful about and make sure that we have a common process that all of our administrators follow to make sure that we run a fair hiring process and that we are legally sound when we make decisions in hiring. I'm going to run through this quickly because it might be monotonous for you, but the first thing we do when we have a resignation for any position classified or certified is we ask that the administrators at the site evaluate their staffing if they need to fill that position or not. If they do feel they need to, they fill out what's called a personnel request form and send it to us requesting that we fill that position. And then as a cabinet, we review that and make a decision if we fill it or not. Typically, we follow the administrator's suggestion unless we see a real discrepancy in their need. And then once it's posted, it needs to be posted externally for 5 days to allow applicants to apply. At that time, we require administrators to set up a paper screening process where they identify what they're looking for in that position, and then they review all applicants to identify who they want to hire. Then we require common questions. We train administrators on what are appropriate and what are not appropriate questions to ask in an interview to make sure we're again running legally sound interviews. In Douglas County, we want to run a rigorous interview process. So we have our administrators not only have question and answer portion of the interview, but also performance task, where they, a teacher, for example, has to teach a lesson and maybe write a letter or present a lesson. And also we require a selection committee. It's not just one person in a room by themselves making the decision on the candidates. It's a number of people. Typically for like a teacher hiring, it would be administrators, teachers, and some classified employees as well. Once the candidate is selected, we run a rigorous reference check process. We require at least 2 reference checks from previous supervisors to answer specific questions about their background and qualifications for the position. And then we have the administrators document that entire process from their selection of candidates to the paper screening to the questions, documenting their answers. We put all that together in one packet and we save it to document the hiring process. And then we archive them forever. That's all I have as far as hiring goes. I'd love to answer any questions, or if you have any great ideas to help us find people, I'd love to hear that as well.
Any questions? No.
So we do that for every candidate. That is part of the process after they're selected, but before they begin work for us. So Nevada, we're okay. So thank you. There is 2 different processes on that for teachers and licensed personnel. Their background check is actually done through the State Department, and that goes through the federal through a federal background check, actually through the FBI. And they are teachers and certified. Their background check is done every 6 years as they continue to work for us. For classified, after they are offered the position or after they're selected, we do require them to submit fingerprints locally, and their background is ran by our sheriff's department here locally before they begin working for us.
And just Tony, that holds us up on the teacher side. It can take 6 to 8 weeks, and especially, if you're in this July, August, when people are trying to get newly licensed, it's often we've got everything cleared and we're just waiting for that background check before they can get their license. We usually get them back from local about 2 to 3 weeks. So that's a lot quicker process.
Any other questions? Comments? Trustee Kangas?
Indeed. Is that proved to be a good source for us?
It has been, and it again, like I said, it's something we've used selectively. We don't put every position on there. It's when we have advertised through our other means and have not found qualified candidates, then we put it on Indeed. And we have filled a number of really hard to find positions through Indeed. It's not obviously 100%, but some of our harder positions, we've been able to find people from out of state through Indeed.
So what's 500 get you? How many hits?
Well, it depends on the position. There are some positions that are really hard. For example, automotive here at the high school has been open a number of times over the last couple of years. And really our only applicants have come through Indeed. And that's a really hard position to find, because a mechanic can make more in the field than they can as a teacher. But over the years, it's Indeed has been the one source that has worked to find applicants for those types of positions.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Other?
I'm just wondering what it's looking like for next year. I know you are still in process looking at that, but what are you guys thinking of? Do you feel like you're gonna be able to fill the positions? I know we have some that are longtime subs and we have some openings right now. What are your projections for the next year of where you'll be at?
So historically, Douglas County has been a place people want to move to and live. So we have typically through the normal hiring cycle been really successful. So positions that we can hire in March, April, May, and June, we're successful. Things that open up after that, it's really hard to fill. Most of our openings now are people that left August or later, except for special ed. We've had a few special ed positions that we were unable to fill. So we're hopeful that getting an early start on it, we will be able to fill most of our positions. Anything that comes later than August is really hard.
And just on that note, the list when it comes out will be rather not very impressive because it's big. But a lot of it, we also hire 1 year only. So our instructional coaches, they came out of the classroom, but we guarantee them a job back when that ESSER money runs out. So we will keep those on 1 year contracts so that they have somewhere to come back to. And so those jobs get automatically termed at the end of the year. And so they'll be on the list as 1 year to replace. So some of that's a little deceiving. But, again, I don't know that our retirements have been any more significant this year than in years past. It's pretty consistent. And, where we don't always know right now is just resignations. People could be out there looking to go somewhere and maybe haven't, we're a little ahead in the job cycle. So, we always caution our administrators when they think they're done, they're really not done. And unfortunately, spend a lot of June and July interviewing. So.
All right. Any more? That's it? All right. Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Good job. All right. Item 13 is the first reading of bylaw number 060, and this will be brought out by our superintendent.
So I'm wondering if we want to get into this discussion. We're 4 minutes before public comment. Do you want to take a quick break or do you want to jump into it?
What do you guys think?
Break.
We'll take
Let's take a quick break so we can just have
We'll take a
one conversation.
4-minute break and we'll come back for public comment at 5:30. I know. I know. No, we're good. We're good. It's all good. Turning me on? Am I on? Do I have to turn it? It's on red. Sugar, I think I just turned off. Am I on? Ah, there I am. All right. Well, it's 5:30 and we'll go right to public comment. Thank you. You're right on. Our first person is Miss Virginia. If you could go ahead and state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes. Trustee Kangas will.
The 3 minutes, I think a lot of us know how this works. About 2.5 minutes, I'll raise my hand. I don't have the cards tonight. And that would be when you wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Virginia Starrett.
All right, thanks.
Since the last school board meeting, much has happened. First, I want to say how good it is that the mask mandate for children in our state has been adjusted to allow them to see each other's faces and to breathe and not feel shamed and depressed by their status as the alleged most dangerous carriers of the coronavirus. I knew in 2020, as did millions of others in the children should not be wearing masks camp, that masks were not backed by science. Science itself knew that masks were virtually useless for all of us all along. And it knew children were safe to be around. And it knew children rarely got very sick from COVID anyway. These are simply facts. Science has now admitted them because Democrat politics dictates that they do. And yet when this choice originally came to you, the folks who were elected to watch out for the children of our community, you chose against science. Masks do harm, real harm. Science says so. I am at a loss as to how anyone can justify masks as a COVID preventative of any kind for anyone. On another note, I am a crusader against indoctrinating children in CRT, which includes sexualizing them as well as intimidating them through the power of authority held by teachers into accepting values that are attached to the progressive side of politics. I have read the responses of the 5 district persons who raised objections to training and development promoting CRT. Once again, I am at a loss, this time as to how you characterize these 5 responses as proof that CRT in the training wasn't a big deal. After all, only 5 objected. Yep, only 5 had the guts to push back in the current climate of cancel culture, and particularly in light of this board's flippant attitude about CRT. Finally, you may have heard I made a speech recently on CRT. Well, board member Robbie Lehman phoned the president of the group to whom I was speaking in advance, a group of which I have in the past been president myself, and in essence told her I shouldn't be allowed to be the speaker because I didn't know what I was talking about. He went on to be rude when he was told he needed to have made a reservation for the meeting. I'm coming anyway, he insisted, and he did. At the meeting, his elegant review of my speech reported to another attendee was, "It's effing BS," and he used those words, not the words I used. And after the meeting, he once again phoned the president and took her to task for sharing with me that he had called before, as if she owed him some kind of secrecy. So here I sit now, looking at you, wondering how you could ask for this community to trust you as a board. Here's what I trust. I trust the next board will actually have the best interests of the children entrusted to them at heart. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Denise. If you could come forward and state your name for the record.
Denise Baronio. I actually wasn't going to speak. I just had a question. I'll wait till Joe's done because it's directed at him, if that's okay. My question, Joe, regarding the information you just shared about hiring teachers, can you clarify? You had said that you were hiring based on equity. Is that for the kids, the teachers? How you used the word equity? Can you clarify what that would mean? Is that equity for the teachers, or? I'm just asking for clarification on that definition. I won't ask him any other questions.
Rick? Yeah, we can't do it in public comment.
Okay, I just wanted clarification for what that meant.
That's absolutely, and I'm sure we'll have that conversation with you. Thanks, Denise. And then I have someone else that signed, but they must be a doctor because I can't read it. Come on forward, honey. And could you go ahead and state your name for the record in the microphone? So we'll get this down.
I'm Claire Gerner.
Thank you, Miss Claire.
Okay. So hi, I'm Claire Gerner. I'm an AP student at Douglas High School, and I'm currently in my senior year. I'm here today to talk about the discussion surrounding CRT. More importantly, the problems and limitations surrounding banning CRT and language associated with it. As a student, I can honestly say that what people are referring to as CRT is something that is not being taught and something I have never been taught. Discussions and lessons based around our country and society's true history are absolutely not making me as a white person feel attacked or guilty, as some board members have implied. In fact, being able to talk about hard topics such as racial inequality and slavery allow me to feel proud of how far our society has come and hopeful that we can continue to progress. Not being permitted to learn about such prominent parts of our world in school, where students should feel comfortable to ask questions and challenge their own belief, makes me question the true merit of this debate. By limiting what students may question and discuss, the education system becomes limited, ideological autonomy becomes limited, and students become limited. Almost everyone can agree that the hard conversations allow people to look at themselves critically, which leads to empathy and deeper understanding. It may come as a shock to some adults here that us students are capable of this. We are young, but we are not ignorant. My peers and I have had many racial and political discussions, all of which I have found myself grateful for. Our identities are not so weak, and that honest and educational discussions about racial inequity would change what we believe. We are, from my classroom experiences, intellectual beings who have proven to have more mature conversations about these topics than many adults I have observed. To restrict and censor our conversations, whether racially or politically motivated, would be detrimental to students. Today, Trustee Lehman visited our classroom and was able to observe students engage. I challenge every board member to do the same and start to listen to the voices of the next generation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having the courage to come forward. And that concludes our public comment. I mean, oh, there's one, I forgot about one. Okay, we have somebody online. Who is it? Oh, okay. Ms. Casey, can you go ahead and state your name for the record? And Trustee Lehman will have cards. I'm Kangas, sorry. Wrong one. She's still muted. You're still muted. Can you unmute, please? Okay, you can begin.
Casey Rogers for the record. This is a notice of intent to file against your risk management plan, known as your insurance or your bonds, for violation of your oath of office. You have sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution in the state of Nevada and the Constitution of the United States. You have failed to uphold both of these constitutions. We live in America of the free and live our lives without restrictions, abuse, and unlawful mandates from elected government officials. Mandates are not enforceable laws. As an elected public servant, you have no jurisdiction or authority to create or enforce mandates. However, you guys have accepted ESSER funds, which has put you into the position where you are in. That was a choice you had chose to do as a board, to accept those funds. This notice is to inform you of the violation of my constitutionally protected rights and any other rights, privileges, or immunities that have violations or due process of law as required by U.S. Code, Statute, and Constitution of the United States of America and the Nevada Constitution. Here are our demands. Our demands. Hold on, there's a long list of violations you guys have done that I have to go all the way down to. Our list of demands: stop coercing all forms of COVID-19 propaganda concerning how dangerous this is to our parents and grandparents, that all children should want to save their lives by getting a vaccine and they can choose for themselves and do not need the consent of their parents to do this. End all vaccine clinics on school grounds. Cease coercion and pushing CRT and or SEL, transgender gay rights week, demanding children to declare if they are transgender to participate in school activities. Halt and enforcement of policies that require universal masking without parental consent. This includes forcing vaccines on teachers, students, and masking the teachers in the district, including transportation. Remove all obscene books and material from the public school system immediately. Remove all boys from the girls' locker rooms, if there are any in there, immediately. Specifically to Superintendent Keith Lewis, you unlawfully trespass me personally for a mask that has been scientifically and peer reviewed to not stop the spread of coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2. Additionally, mandate is not law and you have abused your authority. You also cannot coerce someone to use or participate in EUA products, emergency use authorized products. See above. The last demand is for you to cease and desist this violation with the sheriff's office and anyone else that you unlawfully have done this to. Furthermore, on your webpage at the dcsd.k12.nv.us, it states that you do not discriminate against persons of any basis of race, religion, or color. But this is a false statement. You discriminated against me and many others. This was reported in an affidavit and mailed to you into your office. That is all I have to say. You will be receiving this, each one of you, via email as well as certified mail. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Is anybody else online? That's it? All right. Public comment is over. We'll move on to our agenda. We'll continue. So we're on item number 13. And Superintendent Lewis, this is you.
So this was a future agenda item that we have brought forward at the request of the board. So I'm going to actually turn it over to Trustee Lehman to kind of go through the language and intent of this. Sorry, am I putting you on the spot? Okay, so if you want to, again, it was Trustee Lehman's agenda item, seconded by, I believe, Ross.
So as we discussed last time, this is a way to, for the board, not just the president and the superintendent, to take items from the future board agenda list and add them to agendas, and also a way to remove any items from the list. Looking through all of our board policies, it seemed like the best place to do this was under our meetings. Instead of creating a whole new policy, just to add it to bylaw 6. And where it already talks about future board agenda items, you guys can see the blue text, basically says that by action of the board, so a vote of 4 or more, any item can be moved from the future board agenda item list to any upcoming agenda. And also by action of the board, any item can be removed, like unto any other item that's already been heard by the board. It would require action by the board to put something back on the list once it's already been removed. So this is just some language that I thought would accomplish the goals. And first draft, if anybody has any comments or concerns or questions.
So let's pull it up on screen. There was a red folder of this just because the second side did not print in color. So I want to make sure that everyone sees the changes. We also proposed that in the second to last sentence, items previously approved or rejected by the board would require 4 board members to bring the item back to the agenda. Sorry about that.
Where was that?
In the second to last sentence, says items previously approved by the board, we would propose adding approved or rejected. It's in a red folder. That's why we're going to pull it up.
That is a red.
Yeah. I'll be okay.
Explain to me what you're saying that last sentence there about. So you're saying if an item gets taken off the list and we want to bring it back on the list?
So in the approved or rejected piece of that, Doug, is that what you're asking? That I was just talking about?
Oh, I don't have the right.
Yeah, let's pull it up and then we're all on the same page.
Okay.
Okay. So up on the board, if we want to go down to 4D. So, and then scroll to the next, your first page is in blue, so you're good there, but second. So the proposed change, add addition would be agenda item list by action of the board can only be reinstated by to the list by another action of the board. In addition to the future board agenda item process, 3 board members can bring an item to the board president and the superintendent. And then the final adjustment there is items previously approved. We also have items that are rejected. This board rejects. And so again, that language of the requiring 4 board members to bring the item back to the agenda.
So just to clarify, so if an item is taken off or it's already discussed, it can't come back up unless there's 4 members?
Yes. So let's say you had an item and the board voted against it.
Okay.
It would take 4 board members. And it doesn't have to be the same 4
Okay,
because
I
obviously you
understand.
will turn over as a board and the
Right.
item may come back later on that. Does that make sense?
Well, that will make sense, yes.
Okay.
But then just to go, the one where you change it from 2 to 3. Just a future board item process, 3 board members can bring an item to the board. I thought it was just 2. I mean, somebody brings up an item and the motion, and that brings it.
So what this would be is that you, Carrie, and Linda could come to me outside of a board meeting
Oh,
and
I
say,
see.
I want this on the agenda.
Okay, so not
so
at
it would
the end
take
of the
3 of
meeting.
you,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
You could still do the 2 here in the board meeting.
Exactly. It's just if you feel strongly, 3 people wanted.
Okay, okay. That sounds good. Yeah.
I feel like there might be.
Yes, go ahead.
I feel like there might be a little bit of redundancy. I can see why you put approved or rejected. I'm not sure we need the last sentence. In blue then, agenda item list, let's see, items removed from the future board agenda item list by action of the board can only be reinstated to the list by another action of the board. Is that covered by adding the word or rejected? Or do you think that just makes it clear, even though there's a little bit of redundancy, does that just make it clear?
It probably makes it clear, again, that it requires an action, and then it's further defining it as that action would be 4 board members that would be required to.
Yeah, and that's just in, so that's just to make sure, because currently when the board takes an action on anything, we don't hear it, whether it's for or against,
Right.
we don't hear it again unless there's 4 people that, so that's just making it clear that no matter which way the vote goes, it's the same process.
Yes.
That's a good catch. I like that.
Okay. So it's the first reading, so someone would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Sure. I make a motion that the board approve the first reading of the changes made to board bylaws 060, including the change presented in the red folder today.
I'll second that.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. All right, so next, we're going to go into, the board will recess to a closed session in order to discuss matters with its management representatives pursuant to NRS 288.220.
All right, I'll make a motion that the board go into recess
Okay,
to close session in order to discuss matters with its management representatives pursuant to NRS 288.2204.
all right, motion made.
Second.
All right, public comment. I'll ask for it, but let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we're in. Not yet. There I am. I can hear me now. All righty, so we have to have, we're back. Do I have to call back? Where are we at? Huh? Okay. Should I wait for him? I have to wait for him. Waiting for our lawyer. I got to agenda items first, sorry. Oops. Righty. Okay, we're back in session. We are now on item 16, which is the agreement between Douglas County School District and Douglas County Support Staff Organization for 2021 through 2024. And Superintendent Lewis.
Based on
You just want a motion?
yeah, I just
I'd
go
like
ahead
to
and
make a motion that we table this item for 1 month until our meeting in our next month meeting.
All right, I need a second. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any public comment on this? Seeing none, we'll bring it to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay, item 17 is prioritizing agenda, possible items for future board meetings. Okay, so we have 5 items on here. We can take a couple off. We can take we had the informational report about staff and subs and discussion on, we had a motion, first draft on the future board agenda items and how we're going to handle them. So is there anyone that wants to place anything on the future agenda items? Okay. Seeing none. Do we have to make a motion for this? I don't think so, do we? No, okay, we'll just move on
Motions
then.
are possible, but not
Yeah.
needed.
Okay, our last item on here is we open up now for one more public comment. Is there any public comment from anyone? Is there anybody online? No hands raised? All righty, this meeting is adjourned. Bottom, yeah, second, third and fifth. All righty.